So welcome back. At the top, you've got the equations for the asymptotes, but look, you have to memorize a whole lot of stuff. It's essentially just the point slope form, but you've got a separate formula for when it's horizontal versus a transverse axis that's vertical. It's so much easier to just look at your sketch and remember how to graph the equation or to write the equation of a line. You're welcome to use it and memorize if you like, but we're going to do it the other way. All right, this one's a little trickier. Lots of things happening here, right? You've got to set it up. It's not in standard form. And I think this one also is going to move around. So let's go ahead and work on standard form first. We have 9x squared. I'm just going to group my x's together. Nice thing here, there's no other x term, right? So this one I don't need to complete the square on. We need a coefficient of 1 on the y squared term. So I'm going to divide out a -4. That's going to leave me with y squared. 8 divided by -4 is -2. We're going to finish off the completing the square setup, and we're going to move our 40 to the other side so that I can prep that 1 that I know needs to happen. All right, then we'll go ahead and complete our square. So we're going to have plus -1 quantity squared. Be careful, right? You've added 1, but because it's inside of the parentheses here, you've actually subtracted 4. If I've subtracted 4 on the left-hand side, I need to subtract 4 on the right-hand side so that I maintain my equality. So I can go ahead and finish this equation. It'll be 9x squared minus 4, y minus 1 quantity squared, and 36. I'll divide everything by 36, each and every term. 9 over 36 reduces to a quarter. The 4 over 36 reduces to a ninth. And 36 over 36 gives me that 1. I can tell some things just by glancing, right? The x squared is coming first. It's not behind the subtraction, right? So that tells me right off the bat that this particular hyperbola is going to open left and right. I can tell you that the center of my hyperbola should be happening at 0, 1, right? I can tell you that my A is 2 and my B is 3. This is a great example because the transverse axis is actually larger than the minor axis is actually larger than the transverse axis. But because the x squared is positive, it's opening right and left, not up and down. So remember that when you're graphing these. Before I go to sketch my graph, I could also use my relation just to get my focus ready. So c squared will be 4 plus 9, and again, it doesn't always come out to be 13 here, just the numbers I picked are working out that way. So let's work through our sketch now. We've got lots of information going on. We want to sketch the center. This one's going to be off center just a bit, over 0, up 1. So here's my center. In the x direction, I'm moving 2 units. So 1, 2, 1, 2. So my vertex number 1, my vertex number 2. And if they were centered at 0, 1, then I've moved right and left. So my vertices are at plus or minus 2, right? 0 plus 2, 0 minus 2, and they have to be aligned at the y level. And what's next? My B is 3, so I'm going to go up 1, 2, 3, down 1, 2, 3, and that's going to allow me to sketch in that rectangle that, again, is not necessarily part of the hyperbola, but it's really useful for trying to get an idea of the shape. I use my rectangle to draw my asymptotes. And again, you don't have to have a ruler on the quiz or something. I'm just trying to make it look nice. And now I can set it up. It's going to open right and left because the x squared is the positive here. And it would look something like this. I think I have a few more things to do, right? Center is set, vertices are labeled. My foci should be inside, right? We'll put focus 2 here, focus 1 there. And my focus is coming from the center, and it's moving right and left. So I'm going to take that plus or minus root of 13, and I'm going to add it to the x coordinate of my center. So plus or minus root of 13, 0 plus or minus root of 13, and it has to be aligned the same height, so at 1. So my center is over here. My other important points are over here. I've graphed it. The only thing I have left are my asymptotes. I'm in luck. I have my plus b again, right? My y-intercept is very clear. It's at 1. So I just need to figure out my slope, and I can count that, right? 1, 2, 3 up, 1, 2 over. So the equation for this particular asymptote would be 3/2. Whoops, I labeled the wrong one. This particular asymptote is the one I just counted. 3/2 x and plus 1 for my b, my y-intercept. This one that I'm pointing at down here, right, is going downhill, so it's -3/2 x. It still has its y-intercept at a positive 1. So my asymptotes are all taken care of. I think we can squeeze the next one in. It's not as long. So those two were both examples of graphing a hyperbola. Make sure you practice. The other thing that we want to be able to do is come up with the standard equation, right? The standard equation of a hyperbola with these two foci. So think about it this way, right? We can make a quick sketch, -1 up to, there's a focus, and 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, up to, there's another focus. My center is always right in the middle. So find the midpoint. -1 plus 5 is 4. 4 divided by 2 is 2. So here's my center, and it should be aligned with the 2. The other thing I know is that if my foci, right, if I connect them, then this is my transverse axis, and it's a horizontal. So I know that this thing is opening left or right. So that tells me that when I want to set this up, I'm choosing to put x's first, because my x should be positive. My x squared value should be positive. So this is the form that I am trying to fill in. I've just found my center by computing the foci, right? So, by finding the midpoint of the foci. So I have x minus 2 squared. I've got y minus 2 quantity squared and equal to 1. The foci themselves, right, their distance from center to foci, this is going to give me my c value. So my c is 3. The second piece here about my vertices being at 0, 2, and at 4, 2, well, if you're at 0, 2, then that would give me the distance from the center to a vertex, right? So the distance from center to vertex tells me that A is exactly 2 units. And if I know, whoops, I'm falling off the screen, A squared plus B squared, then I would have 9 and 4 plugged in. So we know that B squared must be 5. I can plug this stuff in now, right? A is going to be 4, 2 squared, and B squared is 5. And I've managed to find the equation that fits this particular description. The next video will be super short. There's not a lot to do. I just can't fit it in the amount of time that's left here. So give me a second, go find the last video.